Rumors are that allegedly there may be some bad blood boiling between Andy and Kandi. What's going on? Well, I have some new information that may answer that question and more right after this. What's up, kinfolk, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, do me a favor and subscribe. And if you already are subscribed, do me a favor and get notified so you'll know whenever I upload new videos to the channel. Alright, kinfolk, come on into the house. We have a lot to talk about, and it centers around rumors that allegedly there may be some bad blood boiling between Kandi and Andy. What's going on? Well, I have some new information that may answer that question and more. And here it goes. Rumors are that kandiburruss has allegedly secured a $2 million plus payday for season 15 of Real Housewives of Atlanta. Sources say that if this rumor is true, then Kandi will be the highest paid housewife in Bravo history. Many industry insiders see this big payday as one that is truly deserved. Kandi works her butt off, said one source. For the last 15 years, Kandi has worked extremely hard to not only advance her career, but to also advance the image of the network and the franchise. Allegedly, network executives have taken notice to Kandi's approach and hard work. Many insiders believe this is why Kandi is always rewarded with spinoffs and now this huge payday. Even Kandi's castmates are said to be very proud of her and of her work ethic, and they all feel that she is very deserving of this huge payday. However, allegedly, one person isn't too happy about Kandi's huge new payday. Who is it? Well, industry insiders say, allegedly, network host and producer Andy Cohen isn't too thrilled with Kandi's new payday increase, and many people are asking, why is that? Industry insiders say, if this rumor is true, then I can see Andy being upset for one reason. He may see Kandi's pay raise as a threat to his power at the network. The industry insider continued, everyone knows that producers hold the real power with the franchise. And also they hold the real power at the network. They allegedly influences who stays and who goes, which storylines run and which storylines don't. So, with the network giving Kandi her own spinoffs and naming her as producer and creator of those spinoffs, it may seem like to Andy that the network may value her opinion more than his. A lot of the sources feel that Kandi's influence may spill over into season 15 filming of Real Housewives of Atlanta. She's the longest consecutive reigning housewife in Bravo history. Of course she knows what she's doing, said the source. She probably could produce the entire season solo and do it better than an entire production team, ended the source. What Kandi has is industry wisdom, not just longevity, said another industry insider. Kandi appears to be the future of Bravo at a time when fans are increasingly becoming very tired of Andy's influence at the network and with the Housewives franchises. So, more money for Kandi could mean more power and less influence for Andy. Now, kinfolk, when I heard this rumor, the first thing I thought to myself was, this could potentially make sense, and I could see some parts of it being true. And here's why. On part 3 of the reunion, many fans pointed out that when Todd made the statement that Kandi made or has more money than anyone on the stage, a lot of fans were quick to point out the shadiness or the frustration Andy had with Todd making that statement. Now, a lot of fans compared it to when Monique said that her Bravo check was pennies compared to what her husband was bringing in each year through his multiple businesses and his former NFL contracts. And as we've seen, Andy does sometimes seem a little squirmish and frustrated when these statements are made. So with that being said, if you are to believe this rumor, because right now it's all speculation and it's alleged information, but the only thing is, if you are or have taken notice to how Andy sometimes allegedly appears to be frustrated with the women making statements they make more money than him, or they make more money than what Bravo pays them, then one could probably infer that Andy may have an issue with Kandi becoming allegedly the highest paid housewife in Bravo history. Now, with that being said, is Kandi deserving of this money? Most definitely. She's been there literally 14 plus some years at the network, and she has worked her butt off every season. And when people say that Kandi doesn't provide storylines, that simply isn't true, because Kandi has provided us 14 plus years of storylines. So, it brings me to the next part of this rumor that I probably could see as being true, and it's this. I do feel like sometimes Andy sees himself as the puppet master of the Real Housewives franchises, and especially as the puppet master of Real Housewives of Atlanta. And with that type of thinking, he probably feels that no one should be making more money than Geppetto. And in that thinking, he may also feel like a lot of these ladies really owe their careers or the revitalization of their careers to him and the network. So he should be able to dictate how much money they make and should not be making more money than he is. However, if you are to believe that's how he allegedly thinks, then one could say, then, well, why don't you put in a clause into the latest contracts and saying that they cannot use their appearances to make money or to start business or to promote their business on the show? So this type of thinking, it goes against what we have seen on the Real Housewives of Atlanta franchise for all these years. So that's why on this end, I could probably see this rumor as not being too factual, because Andy, on one hand, yeah, I feel like, or he could probably feel like, I've made these ladies' careers, I'm responsible for making their careers, so they should be making more money than me. But however, if he did feel that way, then one would think he or producers would put clauses in the latest contracts and saying they cannot promote their multiple businesses on the show. Now, kinfolk, that all leads me to how very sticky this whole situation in this rumor has become. And it leads me to the next part of the rumor that I can see as being somewhat of an issue moving forward. And it's this. I could really see Bravo relying on Kandi's knowledge of the industry and also her knowledge on the reality TV show world. Because Kandi, as I've said, has been the longest consecutive serving housewife in Bravo history. And I do believe that Bravo and the executives and producers really do keep Kandi around because of her wealth of knowledge and understanding on how this reality TV show game works. In many corporations or many businesses, you're going to oftentimes find that one person who people tend to think never really does anything or always seems to be skating by. I used to work with a guy like that until a manager came to me one day and he told me like so-and-so is a big asset to the company simply because of the knowledge, the years of experience that he has in this industry. And much like Kandi, seeing an industry evolve over 14 plus years, the things she has seen, the back stories and the back knowledge that she has about what works and what doesn't work, is just something that is invaluable. And I really do believe that the network even though she may be grandfather clause into some type of contract involving her pay raises, but I think the network really doesn't mind giving Kandi this money because of all of the things she brings to the table in terms of her knowledge about how this industry works and how the entertainment industry works as a whole. And being on and looking at it from Andy's perspective, not to say he feels this way. However, when you have someone who you technically probably hired and brought in, and when you see them doing your job sometimes better than you, then that can be a very intimidating and threatening feeling. So that's why I can kind of see how, if this rumor is to be true, then I can see where some of that tension could be coming from. Now, the last part of this rumor where I see Kandi as really being a big threat to Andy if she does begin to pick up more power at the network is this. It seems as if over the years, Andy has really lost touch with how to produce women of color. We've seen him fumble that ball many times before. And it's gotten to the point where a lot of fans are asking that he, one, step aside from even having any influence on the Housewives franchises that feature women of color. And also, we've seen fans this season at the Real Housewives of Atlanta reunion, almost petitioning to a certain degree that Andy not host the reunions because he doesn't understand how to handle a line of questioning when it involves black women. And the thing with Andy and the women of color, especially at Real Housewives of Atlanta, all of those women are very accomplished, very outspoken, and very intelligent. And it seems as if, and this is just me, having been watching this franchise for a very long time, it seems as if Andy just treats every black woman or woman of color throughout all the franchises with the same blanketed veil as if they are Nene Leakes. And he almost treats them and expects them to respond in a way that Nene would have. And when they don't, he comes off as if he's perplexed by it and sometimes downright frustrated by it. And we see a lot of that with his interaction with Kandi, Kenya, and with Candace. It's like he has almost conditioned his mind to believe that all women of color are Nene Leakes, which just isn't true. Not to say there's anything wrong with Nene's personality. It's just that there are different black lived experiences across the spectrum for not only women but also men. And so I think that Andy should really work hard if he wants to continue to work in this medium with such strong and successful black women, that he broadens his horizon on how he sees women of color. And so here is where Kandi and her influence can outdo him. And here's how. Kandi, not only being a successful housewife, is also a successful entertainment executive in her own right. Outside of Real Housewives of Atlanta, she's managing a music empire, a Broadway stage production empire, and very soon, Kandi's probably going to get into movies. It's only a matter of time. And so when you see a boss woman like Kandi making moves like this, and then making very successful moves, then it goes to show to executives, I can see them actually saying, hey, here's a black woman who's making these very successful moves in the entertainment industry. She seems to know what she's doing. Everything she touches turns to gold. And right now we're having some issues, or if they ever had issues, with producing women of color on these reality TV shows. Then it seems like the person who they would probably want to rely on outside of Mona Scott Young probably would be kandiburruss, especially since she's right there at their disposal. So, with that being said, let's say Andy's influence didn't wane within the other Housewives franchises. But when it comes to Real Housewives of Potomac and Real Housewives of Atlanta, I definitely could see network executives and producers taking Kandi's insight over Andy's any day of the week. Now, is that anything for Andy to be upset about allegedly or feel threatened by allegedly? Yes and no, but it just goes to show you how Kandi has evolved as a cast member and a housewife in the Real Housewives franchise and universe. Something that I think network executives are taking notice of, and I think something that Andy could take note of to help further his career if he wants to stay on as a producer and host with influence over all of the Housewives franchises. But kinfolk, I want to know what you guys think. Do you think Andy has a right to allegedly feel threatened by Kandi's growing influence and power at the network, or do you think Andy still has a lot of power, a lot of influence at the network, and he probably would never lose it and probably would have it until he decides he doesn't want it anymore? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Alright, kinfolk, as always, if you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, and comment. And I'll see you guys over on the next one. Peace.